Hello, my name is Likit Yadav. The topic which I have chosen for my literature survey is indoor localization techniques and agenda. These are the list of topics which I'll be presenting in this presentation. Introduction. What is indoor localization? It is a process of obtaining the user or the device location information in the indoor environment. And why is indoor localization required? Well, when you go to a mall, it's difficult to find a person or a shop in a particular mall. So so when you apply this indoor localization techniques, it will be easier for you to find the shop uh, which you are looking for and a person as well. And this indoor localization technique can be applied in uh, underground caves to map these caves and then to na map the uncharted areas of the ocean, etc. Applications of indoor localization. It can be this indoor localization technique can be applied to map the ruins, to explore the ancient ruins, to locate, store, or personal malls. And localization process. As you can see in the diagram, there are two major processes in this localization process. One is measurement techniques, and another one is location calculation. And the let's talk about the measurement techniques. In measurement techniques, the distance calculation is done from the obtained signal data, and then in the location calculation, which is a process 2, the location of the device or the user based user based on the distance angular data of the signal is calculated. And when these two processes are combined, you can find the estimated position of a person or a device. Indoor localization techniques. So there are two major approaches in this indoor localization techniques, and one first approach is deterministic approach, where the localization is calculated rapidly and fast in this approach, and with this approach uh, implements this approach works on the si- signal strength in the area, and the triangulation is one of the method to calculate the locality of the device. And the second approach is probabilistic approach. In this approach, you can calculate the area precisely, but the precise area is calculated by assuming the previous location of the device. And then the accuracy of the system depends upon the how good this approach is. And time-based methods. And in time-based methods, lateration or trilateration or multilateration is one of the time-based methods. And in this technique, there are like you require, as you can see in the diagram, you require a minimum of three fixed areas to triangulate and identify a position based on the distance of the signals arriving from the device to the beacon signal. Time of arrival. In this method can identify the position based on the transfer time delay of the phone signals and the equivalent speed of the beacon signal. And phone signal and beacon signal should be synchronized. Only then this system is dependable. When the system and when the in the system the phone signal and the beacon signal are not synchronized, then the system fails, where you get inaccuracy in data. And the time difference of arrival. The time difference in the arrival of the signals between the various reference points is. So whenever the signal is transmitted from a device, and then when the transmitted back to the receiver, you can get the difference in the arrival of their signals, and then from this reference in the with the difference with the reference points, and from this difference in arrival time of the signals in the reference point, you can calculate the position of the system and the round trip time. And this in this system, it calculates the time of flight if the signal of the signal pulse going through the transmitter and calculating the unit and pack. And signal property based method. In this method, mostly the localization systems calculate the distance to the positioning localization device utilizing either the time data or angled related data. So, and in this method works completely on the signals. An alternative process in this method is to calculate the distance of two unknown to known points to the references from a few sets of calculating the units using the attention of copied beacon strength. And the next method is scene analysis. In this method, fingerprint orienting is one of the scene analysis algorithms. Fingerprint algorithms have two stages which include training and localization. The meth the most common stage of training is assumed as offline stage and the locating stage as is called as online stage. And this prior to the localization, few localization data is obtained as offline for training purposes. Triangulation. In this method, triangulation utilizes geometric features to identify the respected locations. It consists of two derivations, in one is lateration and another is angulation. And this strategy is based on calculation of propagation time systems, which are based on the received signal storage process, are also called as lateration strategy. And the AOA, which is called as our angle on arrival calculation strategy, is also known as angulation strategy. And then angle based method, angle of arrival. In this method, the angle of arrival of the signal to the cell phone signal from the various based reference points, you get to know the distance between the each reference points, and hence the position of the object is calculated. And to enhance the appropriateness, three signals or more are utilized in this area calculation, and this can also be called as triangulation. Proximity detection method. Proximity location or connectivity is dependent upon one of the easiest positioning processes to apply. The position of a mobile customer is identified by the cell of origin process with the known position and constraint range. When one or more than the signals locates when one or more than one signal locates a mobile target, it simply transfers the position nearby the where the strong signal is present. And dead reckoning. Dead reckoning is one of the indoor localization methods which is used to calculating the familiar current locations related to the final determined position. Increasing the position relates to the familiar or estimated strengths over the elapsed time, and the navigation tool system, which gives a very appropriate directional data, uses dead reckoning, and it is very broadly implemented in Google Maps. Hybrid positioning. In this method, many local location advancements are utilized to calculate the position of the mobile clients in an area or grid related to the various mathematical frameworks. And then this hybrid positioning systems are considered as systems for identifying the location of a mobile client joining various different positioning advancement. And the local positioning systems fail to work in the outdoors. Hence, this hybrid positioning system is one of the better options to choose for in the presence of interferences in the indoor localization. Ultrasound system and beacons of in this method the beacons of ultrasound are used to calculate the location of the emitter tags from the reviewers, and then the ultrasound cannot infiltrate the walls, but it indicates most of the objects inside the building or environment. It does not have the higher level of accuracy in the system and suffers heavily due to the interferences. Wi-Fi based indoor localization. In this method, it, this method is one of the benefits of this method using Wi-Fi positioning system is to detect the positioning of an almost every Wi-Fi suitable devices without downloading the extra software or customizing the hardware. Evaluating the signal strength values from the entire wireless access nodes in the scale of the receiver and the speed of the beacons required for the positioning can be received directly from NCIS, accessible on mostly portable calculation devices. And NCI is nothing but network interface cards. And due to the pervasiveness of the WANS, this mode of positioning gives a specific cost-effective solution to the localization systems. Fingerprinting based indoor localization. The major theme is to gather the attributes of the object, in this case it's called as fingerprint, from various signatures at each position in the fields of the interest and then develop a fingerprint database. And the position of an object is identified by the corresponding online evaluation with the closed position against the database. This approach does not specifically design specifically uh, design hardware in either the cell phone or obtaining, and nor no time synchronization is mandatory between the stations or reference points. It can be applied completely in software, which can minimize the complications and cost. And the fingerprint method contains two stages. One is calibration stage, which is also called as offline stage, and which it's also called as training stage. And the second stage is localization stage or the digital stage. In the calibration stage, the all the fingerprints database are provided to the system for the training purposes. And then in the second stage, in the second stage, this the data is calculated. Conclusion and future work. Conclusion. By far, the fingerprinting technique of indoor localization technology is relatively better compared to its peers. Techniques like angle of arrival, time difference of angle of arrival, and since there is no requirement for the hardware for this method, it's a cost-effective method. And future work, when indoor localization technique is implemented, the system consumes more energy, so the future goal is to make the system's energy efficient without compromising on the accuracy, and also to tackle the interference issues in the system. Thank you.